Hello students and welcome to Native English with Chris. In today's lesson I'm going to teach you about euphemisms. And euphemisms are nicer, much politer ways of saying things that are a little bit more negative or a bit rude in English. And I'm going to teach you these euphemisms by telling you two short but very interesting stories that hopefully you'll enjoy. If you don't know what a euphemism is, one of the most common euphemisms that you might hear is to let go. So if your boss doesn't want you to work for the company anymore, he's not going to say, "You're fired." It's not The Apprentice. He'll probably call you into his office and say something like, "I'm sorry, it's not working out. We're going to have to let you go." This is just much nicer and much politer, and is probably the most common way of saying this very negative thing that you have to do. Euphemisms are very important in English because it's very important, obviously, when socializing or when at work, to say things in nicer, politer ways to ensure that people like you and they don't get offended by what you say. So my first story is, I've just been let go from my job due to downsizing. The boss can't be very bright to let me go. I mean, he didn't know I was helping myself to stationery, did he? Because I was very economical with the truth. Or maybe he got sick of me breaking wind in the office. I hope I'm not between jobs for too long. I don't want to end up on the streets. So how much of that story did you understand? There were quite a few euphemisms in there. So now I'm going to go through the story sentence by sentence and explain to you what these euphemisms mean. So the first sentence was, I have just been let go from my job due to downsizing. There were two euphemisms here. The first one is to let go. I've already explained this euphemism. It means fired. To fire, you were fired. And the second euphemism was downsizing. This is a euphemism that means when a company has to let go or make some employees redundant due to the economy doing badly or due to not having enough money to pay them. For some reason, they need to reduce the amount of employees. So a nicer way of saying this is downsizing or to downsize. The second sentence was, my boss can't be very bright for making me redundant. The euphemism here was can't be very bright. So if you say that somebody's not very bright or they can't be very bright, it means that they're a bit stupid, they are thick. It's not very nice to say that. So if you say, he's not very bright, it just makes it sound a little bit nicer. The next sentence was, he didn't know I had been helping myself to stationery, did he? So the euphemism here is to help yourself to something, and this means to steal or to take without permission. Have you ever helped yourself to something? Maybe when staying at a hotel? I bet most of us have. Because I was very economical with the truth. To be economical with the truth means to lie. Obviously, it's very, very negative to use the word lie in any context. So it sounds much better, almost like you're not lying if you say that you're economical with the truth. Or perhaps he got sick of me breaking wind in the office. Maybe that will help you. To break wind means to fart. You know, when that unpleasant noise or smell comes from the back of you. I hope I'm not between jobs for too long. I don't want to end up on the streets. To be between jobs means that you're unemployed. So if you go for a job interview, it's not good to say that you are unemployed. It sounds negative. But if you say that you're between jobs, it implies that you had a job and you will get another job. So at the moment you're between jobs. It's just a more positive way of saying it. And to end up on the streets, that's a euphemism for being homeless. So all of those are very common euphemisms. If you can start to use them or just understand them passively when you hear them, you will improve your English a lot and start to get to a more advanced level. So I'm going to tell my second story now. This one is a little bit more negative, a bit sadder. My colleague is big-boned and vertically challenged. He's not the sharpest knife in the drawer either. So his work is often not up to scratch. Although he has been blaming it on his cat passing away, it had to be put to sleep, sadly. Even though I'm not a big fan of him because he's very economical with his money, I did feel sorry for him. So how much of this story did you understand? I'll go through it sentence by sentence again. So the first sentence was, my colleague is big-boned and vertically challenged. Big-boned means a bit fat, a bit curvy. Curvy is another euphemism for being fat. Obviously, there's no nice way of saying this, but it just sounds a little bit better. And to be vertically challenged means that you're a bit short. If you call a man short, he doesn't like it. Maybe women don't care as much, but it's definitely slightly nicer to say vertically challenged. He's not the sharpest knife in the drawer either. This is another way of saying he's a bit stupid, or a synonym to the euphemism not very bright. So his work is often not up to scratch. To be up to scratch means that it's just good enough. So if something is not up to scratch, it means that it's not good enough. Although he has been blaming it on his cat passing away. Maybe you've heard this one. This is very common. To pass away means to die, sadly, but the word die, again, it's very negative, so it sounds a bit more polite and a bit nicer to say this. It had to be put to sleep, sadly. To put an animal to sleep means to kill it because it has some health problems and it's going through a lot of pain. Another way of saying this is to put down. Even though I'm not a big fan of him because he's very economical with his money. This is probably self-explanatory, but I'm not a big fan of him means that I don't like him. You can use this for anything. You can use it for food. I'm not a big fan of fish. I don't like fish. And to be economical with your money means that you are tight. You do not like spending your money. We've all probably met some of these people, when it's their round to buy a beer, they run off to the toilet or they're nowhere to be found. So in total, you should have learnt 16 euphemisms. There were 8 in each story. I'll just go through them now one by one to review them. So in the first story, we had to let go. The second one was to downsize. The third one was not very bright. Number 4 was to help yourself to something. Number 5, to be economical with the truth. Number 6, to break wind. Number 7, to be between jobs. And number 8, to be on the streets. And from the second story, number 9, to be big-boned. Number 10, to be vertically challenged. Number 11, not the sharpest knife in the drawer. Number 12, not up to scratch. Number 13, to pass away. Number 14, to put to sleep or to put down. And number 15, not a big fan of somebody or something. And number 16, to be economical with your money. And now, as usual, for the practical part of the video where you can get involved as the student, I'm going to give you a sentence without any euphemisms in them. So some negative, rude sentences maybe. And I'd like you to think about which euphemisms from today's lesson that you could put into these sentences. And then I'll give you the sentences that sound nicer with the euphemisms in them. So my first sentence is, I have just been fired and now I'm unemployed. You can pause the video now if you'd like to have a think about this. So a much better, nicer way of saying this sentence would be, I've just been let go and now I'm between jobs. My second sentence is, I don't like him, he's really tight. So again, you can have a think about it and pause the video if you'd like. So a much more polite way of saying this sentence would be, I'm not a big fan of him, he's very economical with his money. And my final sentence is, my colleague's work is terrible because he's really stupid. Obviously, that's a very harsh thing to say, so a better, nicer way of saying that would be, my colleague's work is not up to scratch because he's not very bright or he's not the sharpest knife in the drawer. So as I said, try to get these into your vocabulary, try to start using them. It will make your English sound better and it will make you sound much more polite and likeable. That's it for today's lesson. Please like the video if you enjoyed it and subscribe to my channel. It will help me so much in order to keep bringing these lessons to you. Thank you. Cheers.